exactly on when those tsunamis are likely to hit. We need some more information there for people right across that region, and more information on evacuations, because that's definitely what people want to hear about. Now, I just want to go now to the Prime Minister of Japan, Naoto Kan, speaking. Let's just bring that up so people can hear what he has to say in the course of this devastation.
Government will do everything possible to minimize the damage. It will do its utmost. The government will put its strength together and work hard in tackling this disaster. We therefore ask the people of Japan to exercise a spirit of fraternity, help each other, and to act fast, and to help one's family and neighbors. We should all help each other to minimize the damage. We ask you to act in such a way that it will be possible to minimize the damage.
The Prime Minister of Japan speaking there, Naoto Kan, pleading with people to minimise the damage. Really, the undertone there is to be calm as you move fast and act and help each other. That's his message there. I want to go to back to our Kyung-la, who's there at the CNN Bureau in Tokyo. And Kyung-la, I mean, important words there. Certainly calling on the people to remain calm, very difficult under these circumstances when you're dealing with an 8.9 magnitude quake and tsunamis still rolling in across the coastline.
And you still I can actually still feel the building shaking every once in a while. So this is something that is still ongoing. So yes, people have got to stay calm. But we do want to remind people that in Japan, this is a country that is very earthquake prone, and people are trained to try to be calm in something like this, although this was quite a large event. Just to give you an idea of what it was like in many offices, many homes in Japan, we're on the 9th floor of an office building, and just as the earthquake hit, all the papers went flying. We have a tape library as well, and the tapes are strewn all over the floor. So what happened in our office, though I wasn't here, I was at Tokyo Station, basically everything was shaking, and anything that was piled up fell on the ground. So, you know, we're still kind of sorting things out here, but what we're seeing now is the after effects of a quake event. We are not having very secure phone lines. Trying to get computer internet access is very difficult. Transportation in the city of Tokyo as well has truly come to a halt. I'm still getting information about whether or not there's any air traffic, but I can tell you from just being at Tokyo Station, one of the big hubs in this city, that the rail lines have completely stopped. And this is a city that truly relies on rail traffic. So as the offices empty out, people are being evacuated out of high-rises. We are, I think, the only ones left in this building. People are walking on the street trying to figure out how they're going to get home. So the Prime Minister urging people to be calm is very important, because you have the streets completely flooded with people, and they've got to figure out what to do next and how to get home safely. So that's really going to be the challenge at this point. Tokyo is a city of 13 million people. If you have an infrastructure as vital as rail lines that are not working right now, then you have those people who really are at a loss as to how to get home. We want to remind people here in Tokyo, it's still the middle of the workday. It's 4 or 5 p.m. People are normally at the office. They are just about to either pick up their kids in the 6 p.m. hour. They've got to figure out how to do all of this safely and calmly. Rosemary?
Indeed, and when you're talking about such a densely populated city, there are many difficulties that come with that. But of course, as we keep mentioning, the Japanese people are used to earthquakes. So what mechanism is in place to ensure a fast but calm evacuation from such a densely populated city?
Well, the first thing I can tell you is on the micro level, on the household level, people from the time that their children learn, here's what I do in an earthquake. I go to my earthquake hit. If there's no water or food, you cover yourself if you're cold and there's no heat. They learn that at the home, here's my earthquake kit. here's what I do, here's what I practice, here's where I get my mental space in order to move forward safely. But on a larger scale, as far as how to behave and how to communicate, there are a number of internet carriers where you can post information about and send messages to your loved ones. So that's something that could, at this point, start to be activated. But with such a breaking news situation, if you will, where people are still trying to figure out exactly who is impacted and trying to reach their family and friends, that's really going to be the challenge at this point. So we're talking about a population that's got to react on a micro level, but also on a macro level. Right now, the challenge is going to be that macro level, because we're talking about the middle of the workday and people having to get home if they are trying to get home right now.
Indeed. I mean, this is the situation, isn't it? I mean, you were there on the subway and the train station when this initially hit, but the way you described it, people were very calm in the initial stages, and that does appear to be the overall feeling here, that people have been very careful and thoughtful about how they respond to this.
Absolutely, but I do have to say, having lived here now for several years, it's not really in the Japanese personality to panic, especially if it's something that you've practiced and you know and you live with, such as the possibility of an earthquake. People tend to be calm first, and then they react. So initially, yes, it was very, pretty calm. There were some women who I saw who were panicking. There were some children who were crying. But generally, I could say overall, people in the area that I was in Tokyo Station were quite calm. Now, as the evacuation order came to get out of the underground, that's where you start to sense a deeper level of concern, because when the rail line stopped in Tokyo, and this is a city where if your train is a few seconds late, you really feel that something's wrong. So when the train lines completely shut down, people really do get concerned. That's when we saw people lining up for the payphones, trying to make sure they could reach their loved ones, because even though it did feel very different when this earthquake struck, something about losing that infrastructure and realizing the authorities are saying this is different. The trains are not coming back online like they normally do. Yes, you could feel a level of concern rising in the crowd.
Indeed, and the big concern now is perhaps less about the earthquake and more about the tsunami along that coastline, because it's not one tsunami, it is many waves of tsunamis.